die today. Hello and welcome to What's with People with Doc Locke. I'm Dr. Stephanie Lockbuehler, social psychologist and bad words belover. You! The goal of these videos is to give mini lessons on phenomena, theories, and topics in social psychology, which is the scientific study of the way that people think about, influence, and relate to others. Or, in other words, it's the science of why the fuck are people like that? Video focuses on the question, what's with people caring so much about appearance? I mean, it's only what's on the inside that counts, right? No. Well, hold on, let me explain. I know this isn't what you want to hear, and I hate to burst your bubble, but the belief that people's appearance is unimportant is just another example of how the idea of how we should be goes against how we actually are. And the truth is, we are very naturally influenced by appearance, and more specifically, attractiveness. It's called attractiveness for a reason. Like a magnet, it attracts people. And animals, I guess, if you're in a Disney movie. We want to be with people who are hot. We want to look like people who are hot, and we want to look at people who are hot. You don't need studies to prove that. I mean, look at TV shows and advertisements and magazines. Look at who is considered popular. Look at celebrities. Look in the mirror, you sexy beast. The studies find that even 3-month-old babies prefer attractive faces based on how long they look at them. I mean, we are just drawn to beauty. That's hot. Tell me if I'm saying this phrase right. You give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish, he'll have a Tinder profile pic for the rest of his life, right? If you've ever been on a dating app, don't lie, you know you have. Those apps are literally all about making very quick judgments and decisions about people based on looks. Oh, Daddy! But dating apps aren't the only time that we make split decisions about people on very little information. I'm sure you've heard that first impressions matter, and it's definitely true because it turns out that we often make judgments about people very quickly, and we're quite good at making them too. There's research that shows that when people observe thin slices or just small selection of people interacting, people are able to draw very accurate conclusions of the moods and emotions and attitudes and even personalities of the people interacting. This holds true even when people watch just a few seconds of interactions, and judgments made after watching a 5-second interaction are just as accurate as watching 5-minute interactions. These impressions begin with visible cues, or in other words, what a person looks like. It's the first and sometimes only cue to what the person is like. So because of that, it holds a lot of power. And when we first make impressions, we take the visible cues and very quickly and without our awareness, we match up those cues with what are called mental representations, or a body of knowledge that we have stored in memory. Now, if you see a dude with silver hair and a beard and glasses, we equate that with intelligence. A woman in a business suit is thought of to be professional and savvy, and blondes are equated with being ditzy. What? Nerds are thought to be socially awkward. Sound familiar? Yeah. We're talking about stereotypes. So you remember from this video that stereotypes are mental representations or impressions of what groups of people are like based on particular characteristics and emotions that are associated with that group. And there's one stereotype that is prevalent in all societies, even at a very young age, and that is the physical attractiveness stereotype, which is what is beautiful is good. That's hot. Now let's think about Disney movies again. The princesses and the heroes are beautiful, and the villains are often ugly. I mean, this isn't just a coincidence. This stereotype is a form of what is called the halo effect, which is how positive impressions of a person in one area positively influences opinions and beliefs or feelings in other areas. So, in other words, when someone is good looking, they are assumed to be good in a bunch of other ways. Studies have shown that when teachers were given information about a child and then shown a picture of either a beautiful kid or an ugly kid, they rated the kid as smarter and better at school and friendlier and more socially competent if the picture had a good-looking child than if the kid was ugly. Other studies have found similar results, that beautiful people are rated as being happier and more outgoing and more intelligent and more successful and friendlier and kinder and more likable and more open and more ambitious and more emotionally stable and more sexually responsive. Just a bunch of positive qualities, all because of one positive quality, being hot. But do hot people actually have more desirable traits than others? Kinda. We know that they don't differ on basic personality traits, also known as the Big Five personality traits of openness and conscientiousness and extroversion and agreeableness and neuroticism, ocean. But hot people are found to be more relaxed and outgoing and have more social skills. However, that may be a result of how they're treated by others rather than because they're just hot. This is an example of what is called the self-fulfilling prophecy, when expectations of a person become reality because it affects the way that others interact with them, which then elicits behaviors from that person that confirms those expectations. So for example, one study had men look at photos of either a very attractive woman or a very unattractive woman, and then they were told that they'd have a conversation with that woman on the phone. They found that men who believed that they were talking to an attractive woman were friendlier and more sociable and asked more questions of the woman on the phone, which influenced the sociability of the woman on the phone. In other words, the stereotype that attractive women are more outgoing and have better social skills sets that expectation in men's mind. So when they talk to the woman, they themselves are more sociable and talkative, which impacts how talkative the women are, and that increases the woman's confidence, so that confirms the belief that hot chicks are better with social interactions. Now think about it, if this is the daily experience of hot people, in addition to the fact that people are just drawn to them, there's a good chance that they're gonna learn some social skills and self-confidence along the way, right? And that's why we all try to be hot. Billions of dollars are spent every year on making ourselves look good, from clothing and haircuts and hair product and teeth straightening and teeth whitening and makeup. Oh my God, I have so much makeup. Or tanning or bleaching or waxing or even cosmetic injections or surgery, all with the goal of looking good. We do it because we know the benefits of it. The studies show that people vote for attractive candidates when they don't know much about the candidates, and attractive defendants have lower bails set and lighter prison sentences. And attractive people get hired easier and have more prestigious jobs and make more money, and people are more likely to imitate behavior of an attractive person. And for that last one specifically, that's why attractive people are used in advertisements. I mean, we want to be like attractive people. So it's no surprise that brands use celebrities to sell products. But it's not just imitation that influences us. In persuasion research, there's one psychological process that is the backbone to persuasion, and that is evaluative conditioning. Evaluative conditioning is quite simply how positive or negative evaluations are formed or changed because they're associated with other positive or negative things. Now, in this case, we know that attractive people are considered a positive thing. Have you been paying attention? So companies associate their product with hot people to increase the positivity of people's perceptions of their product. How's that for alliteration? You know what else being attractive helps with? Dating and mating. Duh! But it turns out that this benefit is actually more helpful to women than men. The studies show that a woman's physical attractiveness is a good predictor of how much she dates, and men were more likely to rank attractiveness as really important in a mate. On the other hand, men's attractiveness was only kind of a good predictor of their dating rate, and women actually ranked honesty and humor and kindness and dependability as more important in a mate. These differences were found in gay men and lesbian women as well, with gay and straight men valuing appearance more than lesbian and straight women. This is why women tend to care more about their appearance. 90% of cosmetic surgery patients are women. And there's an evolutionary perspective that explains these differences between men and women and their preferences in mates. In terms of reproduction, making babies. Males are naturally drawn to youth and attractiveness because it signifies fertility and the ability for the woman to make healthy babies. This is most important to dudes because of the way that reproduction works for them. In order to maximize their success in keeping their genes going, Males want to have a bunch of sex in order to impregnate women and have a bunch of babies. But they want to make sure that those babies are healthy enough to survive, so they really want to pick fertile, hot women. Yes, men are naturally fuckboys. However, unlike men, women can only have so many babies at a time, and they have more responsibilities. I mean, they're pregnant for 9 months, and then they have all the caregiving duties like breastfeeding and, making sure that the baby stays alive. So they're more concerned with finding a partner that is willing and able to provide resources and protection for them and their babies in order to keep their genes going. And yeah, attractiveness in men also signifies health and fertility, but women are naturally more drawn to dominance and status and intelligence and wealth in men. So yeah, women are naturally gold diggers. This was found to be a prominent phenomenon. 37 different cultures demonstrated these preferences. That's hot. But what is considered attractive? I mean, isn't beauty in the eye of the beholder? Yes and no. We know that there are cultural differences in beauty standards. For example, in some cultures where there are less resources and for poor and hungry people, it's considered to be a sign of health and wealth to be heavier. But in cultures where they have more resources and for people who are wealthier and have food in their bellies, slimness is more preferred. This holds true in different places and different times. And yeah, there may be some individual differences on what's considered more attractive for one person over another, but in general, there is a consensus on attractiveness on a very universal or biological or innate level. Research has found that there is strong agreement across cultures about what is considered attractive. There are studies where researchers take a bunch of images of faces and then using computers, they create single images that combine and average those faces. Now, it's found that people actually prefer those computer-generated faces much more than actual faces. This also goes for body images or even images of animals because it turns out that our brains prefer averageness because it's easier for our brains to process and categorize. But it was also found that computer-averaged faces and bodies also tend to be perfectly symmetrical. And this is another thing that super hot people have in common because asymmetry is associated with damaged genes or injury or disease. So symmetry indicates that a person is probably better to have babies with. Making babies. But there is good news. Yeah, we do tend to think that attractive people are more likable, but we also tend to perceive likable people as more attractive. So the more that you grow to like someone, the less noticeable their physical imperfections become. This means that personality does matter. Finding out that someone has things in common with you also makes them more attractive. So it may be helpful to read those dating profiles a bit more, huh? Also, research shows that the more in love with someone we become, the more physically attractive we find the person. So, while attractiveness does have a big impact on quick decisions with little to no thought process, taking the time to really get to know someone also has a big impact on perceptions of attractiveness. That's super hot. So, moral of the story, we all judge books by their cover. And the hotter the book, the more we think the book is smarter and funnier and likable, and the more we want to read the book, and the more likely we want to get all up in that book. We treat the book better because we expect the book to be better, which makes the book seem better, even confirming that it is better, and then the book becomes better over time. Men also tend to be more avid readers who care more about book covers and their choice of books, while women care more about the story and how the story can protect and fund their personal library. And while there are standards in which one's book cover is maybe better looking than another book cover, that doesn't mean that the books with boring or ruined covers means that the books suck. We just gotta take time to read the book and realize that the story is actually really cool. And those rips and tears in the book cover, they're not really as noticeable and they don't really matter. I'm gonna fuck a book. And that is why reading is fundamental. Got read for filth. Hi! Quiet on set. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. I mean, what's on the inside is counting, right? Oh my god, that's a lot. Making babies. You're cool. Your car is very loud. You must be special.